Think of the last time you were in the fresh produce section of a grocery store. Did you see any bruised apples, weirdly shaped bananas, less than perfect leaves of lettuce? Probably not. Nowadays, most farmers, supermarkets, and most importantly, consumers don't settle for anything less than perfect, at least in terms of appearance, not taste. But are these quote-unquote ugly fruits and vegetables really inedible or less nutritious? The answer is no. Consumers have just developed a cold case of prejudice against produce. Produce go through rigorous tests before they are deemed good enough to be sold to supermarkets or even harvested. For example, let's look at the cucumbers from a large family-owned farm, Parker Farms. At least half of the cucumbers aren't harvested. Again, not because they are not good enough to eat, but because a slight imperfection means that they won't meet society's strict standards. These imperfections occur because of the process produce go through before they hit supermarkets or even naturally with the way they grow. We cannot expect them to be uniform, and yet we do. God forbid, some of the cucumbers may be too curved, hindering box packaging and supermarket stacking. The ones with cracks on them are also unacceptable because they age faster, making them unsuitable for storage. This issue isn't just rooted in cucumbers, but all produce. As James Bloom says in American Wasteland, they're either the right size or the wrong one. It's a black and white world. We as consumers need to remember that flaws in appearance can be created through Mother Nature herself because these crops weren't made to look perfect.
While the aesthetic reasons for wasteful habits are obvious on the consumer side of the supply chain, it can be more challenging to see it from the producer's view, and we must remember that food waste comes at all levels of production. From the picking of fresh produce in the fields to the well-stocked shelves in the supermarkets, and finally in the customer's home, approximately 1/3 to 1/2 of all fresh produce grown goes to waste. In the fields, food with a suboptimal appearance is left out to rot, overlooked in favor of the best ones that will last on the supermarket shelves. Some people feel that this might only happen to a few heads of lettuce here and there, but instead, there are sometimes whole fields left out to the elements. This can be due to the fields not receiving enough water or sunlight and creating a smaller head of lettuce. Because these smaller heads are not as popular and do not fit into the cookie-cutter mold of supermarket perfect, they aren't sold. But it doesn't have to be this way. Some fruits and vegetables are left in the fields due to their inability to withstand weeks of travel across the country, going from supermarket to supermarket. Because the American public is obsessed with the perfect fruit and vegetables for a number of reasons, we have told the industry what we are willing to accept and what is suboptimal. TV personalities invite guests on their shows that teach you how to pick the perfect fruit. Experts tap fruit, show bruised vegetables, and suggest only buying the ones with the best appearance, just in case you don't eat them quickly, and even if you do. These actions reinforce that there is a perfect quality that is acceptable.
Curves are beautiful. The best makeup a girl can wear is a smile. Every body is a bikini body. We've all heard these slogans, seen them painted on bus benches or billboards, plastered across social media platforms. They've even found their place on bumper stickers and laptop cases. But what do they mean? Well, they imply that we as modern-day Americans are attempting to rise above the socially constructed ideals of beauty and appearance. We claim that appearance is insignificant compared to what can be found deeper, the emotions, thoughts, and ideas of a person beneath the looks. This progressive thought process has infiltrated our society to the point that we believe we have, more or less, overcome a superfluous focus on outward appearance. But have we? Perhaps we haven't come as far as we may think. Let's look at our food, for example. If we're so above judging something or someone based on the way that it looks, why can we not seem to do this with our food? Let me ask you this. On your weekly trip to the supermarket, while you reach for a juicy green apple, you'll naturally go for the one without any brown spots on it, right? Don't feel bad, most of us would do the same, but it's this exact intrinsic decision to judge food based on its appearance that leads to millions of pounds of food waste every year.
When you think about it, the concept of food waste itself is actually quite counterintuitive. We spend so much money buying food, and yet we often let most of it go to waste. A study done by University of Manchester showed that roughly 1/3 of food purchased for consumption ends up wasted. In a way, we all know that food waste makes no sense, and yet we all still do it. In a study by Blickfeld et al. Of Aalborg University, all the participants are aware of the negative impacts of food waste. Some are aware that the wasted food is their own wasted money, while others are concerned with ethical reasons and feelings of guilt. For example, thinking of the starving children in Africa. However, all the participants in this study still admitted to committing food waste in some way. The reasons for wasting food vary for each individual, with both personal and societal factors playing a role in our nation's food waste. And study, procrastination. Namely, even though the participants are in possession of perfectly eatable food, they often choose to postpone consuming or disposing of it and just let the food perish over time. Simply put, participants are aware of the negative effects of wasting food, but nevertheless doubt the edibility of the food they have in their fridge. With factors influencing the disgust reaction include best before date labels, taste and scent, and of course, the appearances of the food item in question. The longer the item stays in the fridge, the more its appearance fades, and thus it becomes more acceptable to throw away, somehow eliminating the feeling of guilt towards food waste.
Simply put, we cannot continue to waste food to such an extreme extent. Reducing food waste also helps reduce both climate change and global hunger. Frankly, inconvenience is still the main motivation behind food waste, and it needs to stop. Start by buying food as you need it, picking an apple with a bruise on it, and if you buy it, make sure you finish it.